Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex. And today I wanted to give you guys a revamped list of the top 10 farmable characters in the game. And I want to do this for a few reasons. It was suggested to me recently on the Twitch live stream, so that did bring it to my attention and kind of sparked my interest. But also taking a look back at my old videos, I haven't discussed this specifically since before the X-Men update, and that's a while ago. A lot has changed. Additionally, we have had a differentiation of what it means to be a farmable character, with so many bioselectors being given out and so many new characters not being obtainable with bioselectors, so it has kind of confused things a little bit. But in addition, having a free-to-play account has given me some renewed perspective and some new perspective into what makes characters good, especially when you only have energy to get them. You don't have any bioselectors, you don't have any bio subscriptions, nothing like that. So I wanted to discuss with you guys my new perspective and my new outlook on where you should spend your energy if you're playing this game. Now, this goes without saying, but we're only going to be discussing characters from the mission tab. So characters that you can get with energy from story missions, special missions, epic quests, or dimension rifts. Any other kind of character is not, in my sense, considered farmable for the purpose of this video, so we're not going to be including them. So I'm not going to be discussing honor token and chaos token characters. The honor token grind is actually disgusting, and I don't know why I ever suggested characters from there, because you only get about 30 per month, which is brutal. As far as the chaos token goes, you can go for Ant-Man or Elsa. Elsa's probably the more popular one. However, I'm just going to forego both of them for this video. So at number 10, probably the most controversial character out of everyone on this list is not Hulkbuster, is Bullseye. And you guys are probably going to give me a lot of crap in the comments for Bullseye, but I think Bullseye is a decent choice if you have the other 9 characters already. And the reason why Bullseye is good is because he's a villain, and because he gives that rare dodge ignore leadership. So that makes him very flexible in Shadowland. He can either be an addition to your villain Rumble, or he can actually be the leader to help your main character DPS the dodge boss like Rocket Raccoon or something like that. And I think those are two very valuable traits. In addition, if you happen to get Corvus for World Boss as your bonus mission and you want to do that one, or if you just like doing Corvus World Boss, his leadership is invaluable. And if you use his leadership, you can avoid using a bunch of dodge ignore strikers, so then you don't have to prioritize farming characters like Deathlock, Songbird, Misty Knight, Agent 13, characters who are just not very good standalone, arguably worse altogether than Bullseye. So I think he's an awesome choice for number 10, and you don't even need his uniform. It just adds a little bit more, but his 5th skill is where he gets all his damage from, and that stays the same whether he's tier 1 or tier 2. Number 9 on the list is a character that previously I had said was much higher on this list and probably one of the top 5 or top 3 farmable characters, and that's Iron Fist. And I moved Iron Fist way back to number 9 on this list for 2 reasons. For one, he needs a uniform to be productive at all. So he's farmable, but you need to spend 750 crystals once you get him to a reasonable rank 5, rank 6 in terms of stars, before he's ever going to produce anything at all. Only getting 20 bios a day means that's going to take a while, but it's also going to put back how fast you're going to get the Magneto epic quest sub requirement with Magneto's might and other things that you want to spend crystals on. So that does hurt his value, and is honestly, without his uniform, he's probably one of the worst characters from the story missions. And so I don't really like him that much anymore. There are a lot more good combat heroes in the game today, and so I think for those reasons Iron Fist has taken a hit, but he's still a very valuable character with this uniform, specifically for the iframes and for the burst damage, especially at tier 2. Number 9 on the list is our first entry from the special missions, and I tried not to cherry pick too much from the special missions, but they are a very good source of strong heroes. So if you have some crystals and you want to accelerate that, if you're not free to play, if you've been investing money into this game, you may consider refreshing your special missions now and then to accelerate some of the bios that you can farm from some of the special mission characters, because they are very strong. The first one coming in at number 8 is Kraven, and Kraven also looks like me, which is awesome. But Kraven is great. He's a villain, of course, as part of the Sinister Six. He's a speed type. He's got multiple iframes, and he just plays very smoothly. You essentially just need to get close to max skill cooldown, and then Kraven will give you almost his full worth in terms of damage output and in terms of survivability, just by chaining through those iframes and learning to use his stun or bind, I guess, on his second skill in Shadowland. He's great for World Boss, great for Shadowland, and his tier 2, is quite flexible and quite diverse in its power. So I think he's great. Number 7 is the first X-Men on the list, and I did mention at the beginning that I hadn't made one of these videos since the X-Men, so here they are. Storm comes in at number 7, and if you don't know why Storm is good, just go outside when it's raining, I guess. Storm is an awesome character. She's got a lot of ramp-up damage potential, especially when you get her tier 2, because as she deals damage, she deals more damage, but also because a lot of her skills have residual effects. So her 5th skill, her 4th skill, her 1st skill, and her 2nd skill, they deal damage, but then they continue dealing damage. So whether you just want to chain through her skills quickly, or whether you want to use her skills and then start to kite and run away, her kind of weather effects will continue hitting the enemy. She's a little bit fragile for a blast type, but she's still a very strong character, and she's amazing in Shadowland. There's only a couple of blast types that are better at locking down the entire team with their crowd control type abilities that are better than Storm. Speaking of someone who probably is better than Storm and a little bit easier to farm, at least in terms of the number of bows you're going to get per day, is Crystal. And I don't have her tier 2 yet, but I should. And Crystal's kind of like the baby sister to Storm in terms of the weather skills, but Crystal is a little bit higher on this list because you can get her bios sooner than Storm's. You don't have to go through the epic quest. You can get more of Crystal's bios per day, and Crystal's a bit tankier. She has a bit more survivability than Storm. She has an iframe like Storm does, but she also has an 8-hit guard on her 5th skill, and she does a lot of massive elemental damage, which can be ramped up by either her own tier 2 passive or a leadership. She's a great character, fantastic for Shadowland, good for World Boss, just great overall. Number 6, or number 5, excuse me, the top 5 now. We're going back to the X-Men, and we're going first to Rogue. And probably I wouldn't have put Rogue on this list this high before she got a uniform. And I do that because although she's the first X-Men that you can unlock, and she's quite easy to farm even if you're free to play, you only get 10 bios per day. Now, you have to kind of balance that 10 bios out because you're only spending the requisite number of energy, the 40 energy. You're never going to spend more than 40 energy to get 10 rogue bios, which is actually very good because a lot of the characters on this list, especially the ones from story missions like Iron Fist and Bullseye, you could spend 40 energy and you could get 5 bios, which is half of the effectiveness of this farming method. So I'm a little bit torn trying to compare the story mission characters to the epic quest mission characters because there's a variable amount of energy that is involved, and that does make the X-Men better to farm because it's a much more reliable source of bios day in and day out. Rogue is on this list because as a speed hero, she's extremely tanky, so she's gonna, survive despite your best efforts to kill her. She's got immunity, she's got a self buff, she's got iframes, she's got a heal, and now she has a uniform which just improves all of those things. I know I said the uniform was bad, but it improves the overall value of the character, and if you're going to invest in Rogue, you can know that later on down the line when you have excess crystals, you can pick up this uniform to boost her damage even further, or just cross your fingers and hope that she gets a better uniform. But she's a fantastic character, and she's kind of like a mini Jean Grey killer, Loki. Now, speaking of Loki, number 4 on this list is Cyclops, another X-Men, and I wanted to put him a little bit higher on this list, but because he's the last X-Men mission that you unlock for the Wolverine Epic quest, it makes him a little bit harder to farm. It takes longer, and again, it's only 10 bios per day from the Epic quest tracking, but it is guaranteed. Cyclops is very highly rated on this list because he has a uniform, and the uniform turns him into a supervillain. So it makes him super flexible, super valuable for Shadowland. He's one of the best Shadowland characters. He can easily dummy a Shadowland stage by just using Optic Barrage. You can just hold that down and go grab a coffee or something, go grab a pastry. But in addition, he's got a very strong tier 2 and 4-star passive once you get him to tier 2. And he can even be used in something like Extreme Alliance Battle to benefit his son Cable to boost up his damage. So that's just how valuable Cyclops has become. He's definitely the leader you need, not necessarily the one you want, but we should respect the Cyclops. Number 3 on this list, we're going back to the special missions. We're hitting up another villain that I haven't tier 2'd yet, but I should soon. Sandman. And if you don't know why Sandman is good, hit up the live streams, because you'll hear his name, at least. I don't know if I'll explain to you why he's good, but I will now. Huge damage on Sandman. He's got immunity, both all immunity and physical immunity. He's got self buffs, lots of defense, and he's got iframes. And he's got a little bit of an egg healing factor, which is hard to pick up, but still it's healing. Very, very strong character. Mini Carnage if you don't have Carnage for combat supervillain and you don't have Apocalypse, I guess. Very, very strong character. The one that I'm still farming for now on my free-to-play account, if that's any indication of how valuable he is. Number 2 on this list, probably one that you thought you would see much sooner, but I still think he's one of the best characters in the game that you can just farm for using energy, and that is Loki. You're going to see a lot of Loki rifts open up for you, and you should jump on them. You need the dimension debris for characters. You need those uniform upgrade kits eventually. You definitely need those cards to upgrade and to just get new cards. And then on the side, you're going to be farming for one of the best free universal supervillains in the game. The universal class has been hit recently with a dearth of updates. We haven't seen a universal type character in a long time, which makes Loki's value just continue to rise in this game. Loki is one of the easiest characters to play in the game, and despite the fact that he is not anywhere near where he used to be, and a lot of people make fun of him for that, he's still undeniably good, and the World Boss Ultimate Supergiant clears prove that. Number 1 on this list is a bit debatable, but I do think that even without his uniform, he is a fantastic character. He's beloved, and his iframes and his survivability make him just super easy to play. But then once you get his uniform, you can skyrocket his damage, skyrocket his crowd control, and he really becomes a behemoth who's even capable of competing at the top level of PvP. And that's our old boy, Peter Parker. His uncle may have died, but Peter hasn't let that get him down, if you're unfamiliar with his backstory and you've been living under a rock. Great character, like I said, tons of iframes. His damage suffers a little bit, especially at tier 1 without a uniform, but even then he will survive for you with multiple iframe skills. Once you have enough crystals and you want to invest in his new homecoming uniform, he turns into a mother trucker with tons of damage, especially on his 4th skill, and lots of crowd control. Tier 2, he becomes even better, but this is one of the best examples of a character that was lacking and a character that Netmarble took from 0 to hero. I really wish that there were more characters that I could point to that had the Spider-Man treatment, that got that kind of buff that they needed. Unfortunately, I can't, but I will take the time now to point out how awesome Spider-Man is, because I have said it before, but I think it deserves saying again. So let me know what you think of my top 10 list. Let me know where you think I made mistakes or where I overrated or underrated certain characters. I definitely probably left a couple of people out. Honorable mention goes out to Magneto, even though you need to spend a ton of crystals to get him. He's a fantastic character that you can farm for later on in the game. And of course, if you like what you see, I hope you're subbed, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Is that my new outro? Take care.